Okay. All right, now we're official. And I'm, as always, thrilled to have my lovely Scorpio partner in crime for, God, how many years have we known each other now, Philip?
Yeah, it's gotta be a decade, at least.
Wow.
Yeah. Probably more.
Yes, I love it. Yeah, I think it was like
more, because we were writing before I came to Tucson, and I've been here 12 years. So
okay.
So probably maybe 20 years.
2005, 2006.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, we were you know, in swaddling cloth in those days.
Exactly. Norwalk.
Yeah.
Around. Yeah, is Norwalk still happening? I guess online now. Are you doing it this year?
It is online. Yeah, they're doing a totally virtual conference this year. They were forced into that last year because of the pandemic. Yeah. This year they just went that way. So yeah, I'm not part of that this year. But you know, as they go forward and get back into the in-person things, we'll see what happens.
You're doing more of this. You're focusing a lot on your film work. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I just directed my first film.
Amazing.
Yeah, I know, and it was like I got tired of people screwing up what I was doing. You know, I'd write a great ending, you know, that had the right level of impact and everything, and somebody come in and say, "Yeah, we don't need that." And it's like, yes, we do. It's called an end.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So we did this, and we shot last month, and we're already out to the festivals. I mean, everything went so well. I mean, Saturn in Virgo, you know, I kind of prepared a lot to go ahead and to get this thing right. And when we were filming, we were shooting at night outside in Arizona. We have a local band of coyotes, and they chimed in. And it was absolutely the perfect place for them to howl. It couldn't have been a better place in the film. And we had told the actor, if the coyotes howl back. And he did. Wow. And it was magic. It was absolutely.
Wow. That is like, oh, I can't wait to see it. I just saw the trailer. Yeah.
Well, you have to get back to the U.S. I haven't entered any festivals in India yet, although there are a lot of them.
Yeah, you never know, right? I know. Well, that's a good incentive to get back. And wait, your birthday? Did you have your birthday yet?
Yeah, day before you.
You're before me, okay.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yep. So happy solar return.
Both of us, yeah.
Of course, wait, I'm celebrating my solar return now 24 days from when, so maybe, is that before or after? No, it would be before. Well, anyway, so we get a couple of birthdays. You can have your Vedic solar return and your, I mean, you don't, but I'm just making something up here, but yeah.
Right. Well, they do a thing where it's like they sit on when you have your lunar, like when the sun and the moon are both in the same place as your birthday. That's another birthday you can do.
Right.
For that. Right. Yeah. So we could celebrate that. But yeah, we had a pretty intense solar return this year, both of us. I mean, it was back to back.
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, you know, Mars was retrograde, but I'm not overly concerned about that. And, you know, it's like, I like some of the energies that are out there. I feel at this point, you know, though we're dealing with this tremendous explosion in the pandemic, I feel like we're ending the era of Eris. We're not ending the era of Eris entirely, but, you know, we're going back to because in 2016 we had Uranus and Eris conjunct in Aries, and what we're dealing with right now is the completion of that cycle. And we just completed, well, tomorrow, as a matter of fact, from the time that we're speaking, which is the 16th of November, so 17th of November, tomorrow, Jupiter and Eris square. And over the weekend, Donald Trump said, well, Biden won the election because they cheated. That's what he said. But at least he said they won the election. And Jupiter square Eris, Jupiter throws out leaders he doesn't like, and Jupiter overrules election results. So Trump is saying no, they didn't win the election. So tomorrow, Jupiter and Eris come together. I'm expecting that in the next few days, probably before the end of this week, under the influence of this transit, which is going to be several days, I'm expecting that Trump is going to give some indication of what he's up to next. Now, when I say that, I also think, Pluto squares Eris in December, early December, like the 10th, 12th of December, in that time frame, Pluto squares Eris. And so it could be, following our election for 2 Senate seats, or preceding our election for 2 Senate seats in January. But I think there's going to be some shenanigan that will come out at that point. And I think that will be the last hurrah. That'll be the last thing that he tries. Because then we're going to have Jupiter and Saturn conjunction in Aquarius, and the age of Aquarius will finally begin, except it doesn't, for a couple hundred more years. But, it's like...
Talk about that, because everyone's saying this. Can we please clear this up?
Okay, so let me pull out of the picture here and grab my handy-dandy book. So here's the thing. As of the 1st, I'm going to go to the 1st of December, because we're closer to the 1st of December than we are the 1st of November. The SVP, the sidereal vernal point, is for Pisces 5821. Well, that vernal point has to get to, out of Pisces in order for us to be in the age of Aquarius. So there's almost 5 degrees to go, and precession is 72 degrees per year. So that's 72 times 5 approximately before we're in the age of Aquarius. That's 72 72 times 5 degrees, 72 years, 5 degrees. So, ways to go. But Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct in Aquarius.
Yes. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I think that first of all, it's optimistic. A Jupiter-Saturn conjunction is an optimistic time. And it's like, oh my God, we're setting up a 20-year cycle. Jupiter and Saturn's 20 years to go ahead and to get back to the point where, it repeats itself. Okay, awesome. So here we have like a new objective, new goals, new aspirations, things like that. And Saturn's saying, yeah, and you know what? I actually feel like if I dig in and do the work, it'll be worth it. Because sometimes you get an opportunity, and the opportunity comes in, and Jupiter says, ta-da, you can do this. And, if you got a crummy Saturn aspect, it's like, oh, God, that's so much work. I mean, I'd have to get up 6 hours earlier, and it's like, yeah, you would, and it would be worth it. No, it wouldn't. So this is the time when it's going to connect. It is Aquarius. It is Aquarius. And so is it going to be the kind of thing where it's globally good? Yes. It probably will be. There will be more cooperation. There will be more unification. There will be more things like that come into play. And it will be polarized because, there's always a polarity with the signs. And when the age of Aquarius allegedly began back in the 60s, when the musical came out here, it's like it was a lot of opposition. It was a lot of opposition to status quo. And so what's going to happen now is, okay, so we had Eris and Uranus. It's like, let's have a revolution. Let's throw out everything. Let's get rid of all of this shit and let's start new shit, because nobody can be excluded. And I'm the outsider who's going to come in and make it all good. Not. So that all happened. But this is actually going to be an agenda of inclusivity and all of these things about diversity and whatnot. It's going to connect. And one of the things also that I'm encouraged about is with Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius, people are going to say, well, okay, great. So humankind will get along better, but our planet is disappearing under our feet because of our consumption and everything along that line. So, what are we going to do about that? And so the whole, the green plans and we've got to stop the fires. We've got to stop climate change. That's good. That's good. And I think that there's going to be a lot of application within that. I'm just waiting for somebody to come up with, okay, we're in a recession. So I got an idea. Let's do what Roosevelt did with the Conservation Corps, back in the day. And he built like that really cool Skyline Drive in Virginia, which is amazing. Well, let's do the same thing now, but only with sustainable energy. And you can employ everybody, and energy gets better. And oh my God, yeah, you know, this is awesome. And give the oil companies an opportunity to invest in green energy so that they too don't have to be excluded, and they can still maintain their profit margins. And who knows, maybe Chevron will buy a bunch of windmills. You know, I don't know, but you know, it's a hopeful time. The day after
Okay.
the conjunction, though, we are going to have a couple of sharp Mars transits. Mars is going to conjunct Eris and square Pluto. So there's going to be a blip. You know, we have the winter solstice coming up here in the northern hemisphere, southern for all you guys down under, or summer for you guys down under. And, you know, this is when the Jupiter-Saturn takes place. And the next day we have a couple of Mars transits. So immediately it's going to feel like, bam, you know, like there's an impact and there's a jolt. It's temporary. We'll get through it. 5 days by Christmas or you know, what other holiday might be happening at this time of year.
Yeah.
We'll be sorting that out.
You know, because it's interesting, in Vedic astrology, they consider the Jupiter-Saturn a terrible aspect. In fact, you know, it's a planetary war, and in the Shastras, they link it to like time of like mass fear and destruction, and like one of the worst conjunctions imaginable. So being here in India and plugging into that, and then trying to like, and then all the Western astrologers being like, this is amazing. It's like, I'm like,
Yeah.
Well, so maybe it's both things.
You know, the most mundane application of a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction I can think of is a heartbeat. Jupiter expands the heart, Saturn contracts the heart. You've got systolic and diastolic effects occurring. It supports life. It supports life. And
beautiful.
Jupiter says, yeah, we've got a big ass objective. And if we work hard, yeah, we can make some progress. And it's like breaking it up into segments. You know, it's like the 5-year plan that's so common in business is actually 1/4 of the synodic period of Jupiter and Saturn, 20 years. So a 5-year plan is based on a Jupiter-Saturn cycle.
That's really interesting. Okay.
So, you know, it's like, what can we accomplish in the next 5 years? Well, we've got 4 years in the U.S. for the new administration. A lot can be done. But, you know, Jupiter is, you know, tracking us out. Jupiter squares itself every 3 years. So you have to have a 3-year revisitation to a 5-year plan, because by the time you're 3 years into the plan, it's morphed. By the time you're into anything that you're thinking is going to take 5 years to do, you've got a different set of parameters that you're working with.
Interesting. Okay.
So,
well, you know, I was. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I was done with that.
You were okay. I was just going to say, it's amazing that the last time we met, it was almost a year ago, or maybe a little over a year. No, it was like almost a year ago. I guess we met maybe late November, early December. I remember we were talking about Capricorn crowding at the time.
Yeah.
It was when all the planets first, you know, we were getting ready for that eclipse, and here we are getting ready for another eclipse.
We are.
Now it's changed. Yeah.
We are. And, you know, just for those of us who happen to be in the US of A, the eclipse is going to be, the one at the end of this month is going to be on the Uranus of the United States chart. So it's like, oh, there's that. So it's like a transition of power thingy. And then we're going to have, and then we're going to have the next eclipse in December is going to be all over Donald Trump's chart.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's getting pinged pretty hard off of that second eclipse. And that's going to be the one where, you know, the way I see it, everybody's going to be so tired of his voice. It's like, oh, just shut the hell up. I mean, your voice even comes through on Twitter. I mean, it's almost like you're reading it out loud. Stop it. Enough.
Yeah.
But, you know, this year, I just wrote about this in a skyscraping. And by the way, for those of your listeners who don't know about at philipsedgwick.com, you can sign up for my newsletter, Skyscraping, in the upper left-hand corner of the website. It's a freebie. And I just wrote about, you know, this last year has been unprecedented. I mean, I know that's been the word that's been applied to, you know, happened in the past whatever era cycle actually. But we have had Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto and Mars all in aspect with Eris. And the last time, that we had Pluto and Capricorn, we didn't have all of that. We didn't have. No, I mean, yeah, we had Pluto with Eris. We had Jupiter with Eris at one point in that time frame. But it wasn't like this. This is just so much and so much intensity.
Yeah.
And the theme of Eris is, I don't want to be excluded. I don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
And so everybody, collectively, everybody is feeling left out.
Yeah.
Diversity is, indications of people feeling left out. But then there's anti-diversity. But if we have diversity, then I get left out. And that's the protest of, poor boys and boogaloo boys and all those other boys that have hurt feelings. And all of that. But it's this has been huge. And we're through it. Tomorrow Jupiter squares Eris, and then in December, the end of the first week and a half of December, Pluto squares Eris. It's done. This is done. And so it's important to recognize that Pluto and Eris will square again late next year.
Yeah.
But
that
is going to be, okay, here's what we said we learned.
Okay.
Let's make sure that we learned it. And so it's going to be a reactivation of agenda, but you said you were going to do this, and you bring me into the fold, and now I'm not feeling folded in. So I might be feeling folded over, but not in. And so let's fix that. So there will be a reminder, then, but it's over. I mean, this Jupiter, this whole Eris square, everything in Capricorn thing, it's ending. It's ending. And we made it. It wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And we made it, and there's light at the end of the tunnel. As we were mentioning before we started talking officially, there are 2 viable vaccines out there now.
Yeah.
And if you look at the fact that Mars is going to be conjunct Uranus, and Mars and Uranus are going to be square Jupiter and Saturn in January, well, if you assemble that, Mars is something that pokes. That could be a needle.
Yeah.
Is sort of like, here's this thing that's good for what ails you, allegedly. I mean, it could be that. And Jupiter and Saturn, it's like, it's the initial wave of attempting to get vaccines to the people is going to be January. And there's a lot of transits in there, and there will be a lot of logistical difficulties, and there will be a lot of bitching and moaning along the way, because people are going to say, well, I thought I was in line for this, and this, that, and the other. And of course, vax is going to be in there as much as we should get this shot. People are going to say we shouldn't. And, no comment on that actually, but, that's going to be the January thing.
That makes sense. And then what do you think in terms of the finale of the next year's Eris Jupiter square? That's the last one. Yeah,
that's the last one. And I think that, I think again, it's going to be a recommitment to all of the, like anyone who said, I have a platform and here's what I'm going to do. And this is a Pluto Eris. And so Pluto is like, okay, let's bottom line it. Let's get into the exact motivation and let's look at that. And one of the things that's going to happen is, what is the psychology of exclusion? What is the psychology of feeling left out? And how easy is it to feel left out? And how easy is it to feel that things are, working against you? And what about poor me? And what about victimization? These will be things that will be coming out of that on a psychological level that shifts the consciousness. And, that's going to take some of the sting out of it. And I think one of the things that's going to happen is, what people can say and what people can do. I recently watched a documentary on the history of the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. And the comedians were sitting around saying, we can't be funny anymore. You know, there's nothing we can say. I mean, you know, if you say something,
Right.
you're going to get banned. You're going to get, you know, you're going to lose your television gig. You know, if you make a funny joke, it's,
Right.
oh, but that's not funny.
Oh, right.
Yeah. And it's like,
Not
well,
to be.
yeah, you know, there's insensitivity, and then there's hypersensitivity, and there's disregard, and there's regard. And how does all that work? We don't know how that's going to end up, but that'll be some of the jostling that will take place with Pluto and Eris.
Yeah.
But also this next year, we're going to be dealing with Jupiter and Saturn square. And so it's like, okay, let's get back to rebuilding. This is a rebuilding aspect. This is like, you know, it's almost like reconstruction. You know, after things have been torn down, our society's been torn down. So how do we build it back together? And what have we learned? We learned you don't have to drive.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of cool.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yep. Yep. But this, you know, I'm just thinking about, since we had this really long run of Mars and Aries, and just coming off of that now, and we had that final Mars-Saturn square before he, you know, we had the Mars-Saturn square before he went retrograde, and then he was coming out. So,
yeah,
just curious, like with that, since it's in the same sign as Eris, like it seems like Aries is such.
Yeah, and Mars is a tricky one to have with Eris, because Aries, A-R-E-S, Aries, and Eris ran around together a lot, and they caused mayhem wherever they went. They knocked over the apple cart, and then when they knocked over the apple cart, they rolled the golden apple up to the feet of the goddesses and said, "This is for the coolest one of you." And everybody's like going, "Well, look at my TikTok profile. I got more hits than you. I'm cooler." And so I've got golden apple. I've got more followers. You know, look at my Facebook page. Oh, Facebook. Nobody does Facebook anymore. You know, it's like iGram, man. IG. You know, IG by IP, and, you know, PTQ, and, you know, it's like, good God. It's disruptive. It's disruptive. And the ultimate agenda of this is, I need to be heard, God damn it, you fucking moron. I need to be heard. And that's the Eris with Mars. Everybody needs to be heard. Everyone is yelling. Everyone is yelling. I need to be heard. And Aquarius is sort of like, okay, well, now we got to get a little bit more ponderous, because as Mars is departing and to move into Taurus, it's like, okay, stop shouting. And it's okay, when the shouting stops, here's the Mars thing. What do we do? When the shouting stops, what do we do? You know, you can say Trump won, Trump lost, and you can be yelling and yelling and yelling, and nothing is being resolved. And so here's the Mars Eris thing. What your opinion is and how loudly you yell is nothing. Here's what counts, and this is Jupiter Saturn. You know, one of the Koch brothers, who, you know, they were allegedly independents that came in and heavily funded the Republican Party, funded universities to go ahead and to change educational doctrines and things like that. One of them died not that long ago, and the other one said, "Oh my God, we shouldn't have been so partisan." And it's like, you think? And so he came out and he said, okay, so, you know, maybe I'm going to make some amends. And it's like, what they did is they hired a team of lawyers, and they wrote laws, and they went to legislators and said, here's a law for you. It's already written. All you got to do is put your name on it. How about that? So the agenda with coming through this Mars going into Jupiter and Saturn in Aquarius is, okay, fix it. Come up with a viable program, a viable plan, create something that solves the problem that you're yelling about.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting, yeah, because I was thinking, you know, having it for so many months, we're so used to that fiery energy, and then suddenly it's like going into Earth, and more Taurus is more about the listening and the slowing down and the patience. And how is Mars going to fare, like, suddenly after having spending half the year in Aries, like suddenly it's like, slow down. What? How are we going to slow down?
Yeah, well, it's a little like a semi driving through a mountain pass, and you see the signs for truck runaway, and truck, they realize they don't have brakes. Mars and Aries, I don't have brakes. I don't know how to slow down. The road is windy. Oh my God, I'm going to die. All of my, my Cocoa Puffs that I have in the back of the truck, it's going to go everywhere. And so what they do is they drive into basically soft earth and they come to a stop. That's what it's going to be like. Truck runaway. This is truck runaway.
That's nice. That's a nice image.
But then AAA's got to come and haul the truck out of there, and then they got to say, okay, now this time, don't go runaway. Don't go don't get too rambunctious here. So it's like, okay, what the truck runaway is about is you have a destination and you're trying to be hurry up quick. One of my favorite sayings in baseball is, when they're talking about executing the play and catching the ball and throwing it, is be quick, but don't hurry. So Mars and Taurus is be quick, but don't hurry. Because Mars is still Mars.
Yeah.
Mars still wants to get on with it. And it's like, oh my God, how many times can you check your list? We got to get out the door. We got to get there. Now I'm going to have to drive fast.
Right.
Because you were so busy checking.
Yeah, it's right. But then I'm thinking it's interesting that Mars is going to come up against Uranus right away. And then that makes me think about the connection between Uranus and Aries. What do you think of their relationship? Because it feels like there's something going on there too.
With Uranus and in Aries?
Uranus and Aries.
I think they get along, and I think they get along because, Uranus is he's had it. He's crotchety.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to hear whiny little people. It's like, oh, just stop it. Do something. Do something. Get off your ass and do something, Uranus is saying. I'm sitting on the couch here watching TV, eating bonbons, and, if I'm keeping an eye out for Saturn because you know how he is. But it's like, stop it, do something. If you're bitching about something, here's what Uranus and Mars and Aries is saying. If you're complaining about something, if you truly have a lament, then do something that makes it better.
Yeah.
Something that makes it better. So when Mars and Uranus come together, boom, it's going to be that. It's like, okay, what this election that we had when Eris and Uranus was together is we have to do everything differently.
Yeah.
Okay, we tried that, and that was a little too differently. So how can we have a solid baseline, a solid structure with Uranus and Taurus now? Because, Uranus has moved out of Aries and said, whoa, boy, that was fun. And now Uranus is saying, okay, so we actually have to pour concrete and stick stuff in concrete so that things can be built upon it. So our job is to stick things in the concrete that's been poured. So stick some things in there that have the capacity to go ahead and to sustain the weight of what needs to be placed upon it. And that's Jupiter and Saturn too.
Well, if we think about, Well, if we think about Uranus and Taurus, if we think about Jupiter and Saturn and Aquarius answering to the modern ruler of Uranus and Taurus, that's also interesting because I'm thinking of this whole dematerialization that's happening where everything is happening on an energetic level, online, less in person, less about stuff, less about material. Everything's being turned into virtual now. I mean,
it is, and there are a lot of benefits. For instance, people driving less is good for the air.
Mm-hmm.
We've discovered that, and it's like it's not good for the gasoline companies, but it's good for the air. So hey, how about that? And it's good for time.
Yeah.
It's good for time, and you don't have to wear pants anymore. When you're zooming, it's like, look at the time that you can say, if you can just roll out of bed and do your Zoom with somebody who's multiple time zones away, yeah, piece of cake. I mean, you don't have to get up.
India. I know, like we're doing India to Arizona here.
I know. That should be a movie title, India to Arizona. Yeah, it's amazing. There have been benefits that have come out of this that we haven't yet recognized. And one of the productivity.
Yeah.
How can people
Saturn.
be efficient? And even with Jupiter, the entire education system of the world has been revamped with this pandemic, and so that's been one of Jupiter's contributions. It's like, well, we can't go to school.
Yeah.
So how do we do these things? And Jupiter is also sports, by the way, and there's been a lot of change in the way sports is being done throughout the world, and is that good? Well, it depends on how big a sports fan you are, I suspect. But
yeah, what do you? You're a sports fan, aren't you? Baseball.
Baseball. Yeah, I really like baseball. Yeah. And we had half a season. It was sort of weird. My team was pretty pathetic this year, but it was sort of like, okay, they were playing virtually, but it kind of pissed me off too. It's like, okay, the guys in the dugout are wearing some masks, some of them, but the guys in the field aren't, and they're 2 feet apart now. So wait a minute, how is this working? But baseball had, they had COVID issues, but they didn't have as much as football is having. Now there's a surprise that football players might be spreading COVID, given their proximity, spit flying and stuff.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah.
Yeah. So, there is that, but a lot of good has come from it that we will ultimately recognize. Commerce has changed. I mean, tech stocks have, Zoom, that we happen to be on right now, is all of a sudden one of the most valuable commodities out there. And it's like, wow. And what happened to Skype? They just, they're gone. How did that work? I mean, last time we Skyped. And now nobody Skypes.
I know, right? It's so
obsolete. And
Skype.
Part of the trend. Yeah. So, yes, there are benefits. And, are we going to maintain the lessons? And one of the lessons is, there is a global health epidemic thing that's got to be learned, and that will come from Aquarius. It's like how everyone interacts with one another. I've thought about the distribution of, coronavirus. If you've got it, you give it to 2 people. That's sort of the stat that I've heard. Every group gives it to 2 people. And it's
that's interesting.
It's sort of like, well, that's Aquarian fan out. Like if somebody gets groovy cool and goes to India and meditates and gets himself a bindi and, does all of the things that makes them super conscious and whatnot, everyone that they impact afterwards, whether it's directly or indirectly, they elevate consciousness. So it's teaching us about the evolution of consciousness, but it's showing it to us in a way that we can grasp because we're essentially dense on planet Earth. At least that's what the people at Saturn say. So it's giving us a physical representation of this is how distribution works, or as Alan Oken would say, the Aquarian dispensation. I can't say it as well as he does, but it's like, it's fan out. It's going like this, guys. It's going like this. Everything is spreading. Everything you do and everything you get spreads to everyone else. Not only is that true epidemiologically, it's also true in terms of consciousness.
Do you think we're going to continue to, because the lockdown actually started when Saturn first went into Aquarius, do you think the return of Saturn into Aquarius is going to bring us back into that level, or do you think it's going to be a different version of it now because of the...
Well, here's what I think. I think it's politically charged. And, you've got the Aquarius part of it, and you've got the rebellious, I ain't no putting on no goddamn mask, and I'm going to carry my AR-15 into the capital of the state of Michigan and threaten the governor because it's not right. It's freedom. Well, it's like, okay. So, and I think about this in terms of guns. Like in Arizona, there's a lot of guns. and you can go to a restaurant and you can see someone packing. Someone sitting at the table next to you is heavily armed. And it's their right, it's their freedom to carry a gun wherever they want. But is it their freedom to go ahead and to impose a sense of emotional or mental distress upon you?
Wow.
You can't sit there and eat in peace because you know you got some crazy person with a gun over here. That, not saying that everyone that has a gun is crazy,
Exactly.
but you know, making the point of I'm flaunting my gun. You know, it's like, so there's an infringement of freedom. The expression of your freedom, the imposition of is taking away freedom for me. And so, you know, with the lockdown, will it be necessary? Well, you know, right now in the U.S. of A, they're working with herd concepts. You know,
herd immunity,
as Jeffrey Green would say, and it's like, okay, so let's get enough people sick, and then the virus will stop spreading. Well, now we're the end of December away from getting vaccines. So my concern now is that people who won't wear masks still won't wear masks because I'm just going to get a shot in 2 months anyway. What harm is there to do? So will there be added restrictions? Yes, there will. And will there be resistance to those restrictions? Yes, there will. And will there be pushback, and will there be fighting, and will this remain political? It will until January. It will until January. And then at that point, I think that we're going to be able to see things relax, but it won't be in January. It'll probably be, you know, trickling on a little bit further. I think maybe March before we really get a clear indication that, wow, look at the levels of COVID worldwide. I mean, in the United States, we have never dropped down sufficiently to reopen, and we did.
It's like,
So yeah, I think there will be lockdowns. And I think there's going to be, you know, pushback, and it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be turbulent. And, you know, we're done with the, you know, we still have the Saturn, Jupiter, and Uranus thing going on, and Mars in there too. So it's going to be mixed up for a while, and people are going to be, you know, staking their claim, trying to figure out how it all works now that we're done with everything in Capricorn, and they don't know.
Yeah.
Because when you get into a new place, it's like, whoa, I've never been here before. I wonder what the local customs are.
Exactly. Well, Pluto's still holding the fort down for Capricorn.
Yes. Yeah, he will.
He's going to be there to 2024.
Yeah, he'll still do that. He's
still hanging around. Yeah.
Here's the thing I'd like to mention, just because this has been on my mind a lot. And I wrote about this last week in the skyscraping. It has been determined that the asteroid Psyche is more valuable than the global economy. Because of the stuff Psyche is made of, if we could mine it, it would be worth more than all of the money in the world. Wow, that's like diamonds stuck in platinum or something. You know, that's like, this is amazing to think about. So what is the value of the Psyche? What we know is the Psyche is incomprehensible in value. That's what has been affirmed in the messaging. And oh, by the way, right now, Psyche is in Gemini conjunct the North Node.
Ah, interesting.
So here's a collective issue to everyone who's feeling excluded. What is your Psyche telling you that you need to do with your reason for being here on Earth? There's your personal solution. Because when you find that out, you won't be excluded by anything or any force outside of yourself. That will cease to happen. So right now, Psyche is there, and it'll be there through, I think it's March even, that Psyche and the North Node, because of the way that, you know, they're going back and forth, you know, this is going to be a thing. So it's like, line up with what it is that you want to do. That's the answer. Because if you're lined up with, you know, your sense of destiny, then no one can preclude you from your path.
And can you tell people that don't know Psyche, like what a lot of people haven't heard of Psyche?
Psyche is an asteroid, number 16, and she has a 5-year orbit around the sun, and She is, if I'm recalling correctly, without flipping back from to my notes, she is an Aries Virgo combination. An Aries Virgo combination. When I say combination, I mean her node and where she comes closest to the sun are Aries and Virgo. So that determines a lot of the nature. Like when you discover a new body in space, well, where is it closest to the sun? That's and its north node is its north node. So what's it trying to tell us? So Psyche is trying to tell us Aries Virgo. So hurry, but plan well. And so know what it is that you're doing, have a plan, and then get on with it. So Psyche is telling us, get on with it. Find your plan and get on with it. So that's what I think with that. How you doing there? Your picture is getting a little still there. Are you still with me? You still with me?
So it's like you said, what do you, oh, is it? I can't see on my, yeah, I'm here.
Okay, great.
Did I disappear?
Because you know, you've been going in and out.
Am I back? Okay. No,
I just lost you for a second. Must have been a Psyche thing.
Yeah. Am I back now?
You are.
Okay. Okay, good. What I was going to say is that's a theme. That seems to be a theme with the hurry, but don't be quick. What was it that you said? The baseball?
Hurry, but don't be quick.
Yeah.
You know, be quick, don't hurry. And that's Psyche.
Be quick, don't hurry, and hurry up, but yeah.
So you were just breaking up there a little bit, so I didn't hear everything that you said, but I saw you pointing.
Did you lose me?
No, I'm here. I'm here. Gotcha.
Let me see what's happening with my. Well, maybe this is a good note to end on. I think we covered some really powerful themes.
Yeah. So yeah, that's good. I'm happy with that, and you know, send me a link, and I'll put it in my skyscraping so that everybody can come here and what we talked about. It's always really good to talk with you. You know, it's like, you know, we got that Scorpio mind meld going, and it's like, you know, if they just put us in charge, we might be able to save this planet. No, I don't want that responsibility.
We just need to we don't want to save it. We just want to, you know, psychoanalyze it and, you know, uncover all the secrets. And
we want to get everybody to do their part to save the world. How about that?
That sounds very important.
Yeah. So
it's a good mission. And we shouldn't wait so long next time. We always say that, like, I can't believe a year went by, but this year went so fast.
Yeah, so, you know, let's do it again before things get out of control. I got an idea. Well, let's do it when Jupiter goes into Pisces. Because Jupiter will go into Pisces mid-year. Yeah. Or thereabouts. Yeah.
Sometime.
Huh?
Oh, is it? Okay. I can't wait for that Jupiter and Pisces. That'll be lovely.
Okay. Well, I'm getting a lot of breakup here, so it's probably about that time, regrettably. But but happy holidays, safe travels, be safe over there, and you know, spread the word.
Thank you so much, Philip. Okay.
All righty.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.